Peace, YouTube. This is Flirt Room coming to you today in the sunny state. Yes, I am back in sunny Florida, and I am making another video. So check on in. I am happy to be back in warmer homeostasis. As you see, my clothing is a denotion to the warmer temperatures. It is only 73 degrees. I am leaving 20-something degrees. Peace, Jay. Peace, Yaya. What's good, Swagatarius? What up, Cadillac? Yeah, I'm warm. Yes, Shannon. I'm out of the mountains. I'm away from the snow, and I am feeling the 73 degrees. It feels like 90 compared to 20. So check on in, family. I got a new video to make. Check on in. Big up to the family. To the east, the west, the north, and the south. What's good? What up, Carlos? Peace, peace. Check on in. I'll wait for a few more of you to check in. Oh, everyone's checking in today. Happy holidays for everyone who enjoyed their holidays. I was flying back home yesterday on Christmas Day, which I enjoyed doing. It was beautiful. So I hope everyone enjoyed, their celebration, whether it's Hanukkah, whether it's Kwanzaa, whether it's, Rosh Hashanah, whatever you celebrate. I celebrate leisure and fun. So check on in. Anyway, family, I want to talk about the real aliens on this planet that have always been here. They've always been vilified, and many of you already know them. So, and this is not, I always like to, I'm a bit of a geek. I laugh at everything. It's not that I think things are funny. It's a weird tick that I have. I laugh and I do things with my hair. So, check on in. So anyway, family, I see the connection's already ruining itself. So, as you well know, we can denote what genetically is the primary qualities of beings on all the surface of the planet. If I go to the north, the far north, I generally will see, the indigenous people in the far north. If I go and look at the Eskimos would be brown skin, darker skin, and usually very straight hair, or somewhat, maybe a little link to the curl, but straight hair. If I go all the way to the south, and I go places like Yemen and Ethiopia, and even some of the indigenous groups in South Africa, I will go and see very, very brown people, liken a little deeper brown and chocolate than myself, with very, very straight hair, or links of curls a little bit. If I go to the east, the far, far east, and I go into India, and I go into the neighborhoods of India, deep, I will see people with very, very brown skin, but very, very straight hair. If I go to the far west as I can go, I will see people, the indigenous people, with very, very dark skin, but straight hair. What am I getting at? You know how I like to talk about, everyone's very sensitive about quote unquote race. Everyone talks about people generally as if all brown people come from the same genealogy. I've met many people said, oh, you people are so passionate. Big up to the Lunars who like to generalize. Big up to the brown people who like to generalize. I've met people who say, oh, well, you brown people are so passionate, so soulful. What do they say? So ignitable, right? Yeah, depending on who you're speaking to, who's generalizing you based on their own MK Ultra that they've been exposed to on TelLieVision. What am I getting at, family? I know of beings that are ETs here. And how do I know that they're ETs? I'm going to give you some qualifications for that. Peace, family. Generally, those coming from the galactic families don't age. Listen to me, family. They don't age to the degree that most other beings do, especially genetically modified beings. They are timeless, meaning that they age at a slower rate. I can see many of these beings because if I go to certain places, like some of the places I stated earlier, even in Nigeria, I will hear of beings that are living sometimes over 100 years. Sometimes you can't denote their age. I can go to Detroit, big up to D-Town, and Chicago, and see some non-mixed melanin dominant beings, preferably with a heightened amount of beautiful cosmic genetics. And I will look at them, and I myself as a woman of color will have difficulty denoting their ages, especially if they're 20s to 20 to 60. It is very difficult for me to tell how old someone with a high amount and content of melanin is. Let me go a little further. If I look at the qualities and genetics of all beings on the planet, now mind you, many of the ET groups that have come here have genetically modified beings that are originally here. What I can denote is that the original beings here that are part of the heirlooms of planet Tiamat, planet Earth, planet Gaia, generally, the natives here generally have my complexion, copper or a little bit of deeper brown with hints of copper underneath their skin. Generally, they will have hair similar to mine or straighter. Those are the indigenous that are here. Generally, the most people that were here originally on this planet had copper skin and hair likened to myself. This is my natural hair. This is what it is. You know, I don't do it anymore because I live in Florida. I'm grateful for that because it's warm, okay? But there are beings on this planet that don't look anything like the original copper beings on this planet. There's a combination platter. There's a combination platter happening as well. Let me go back because you know I'm digressing. Let me go back to what I was stating. I'm giving you some qualities of beings, genetically cosmic beings that are not from here originally, and how you can denote this is because they have galactic or cosmic or alien or ET type of genetic base that is not likened to those who are the originators on this particular planet. Another quality, we talked about timelessness, meaning that there are beings on this planet with very, very heightened amount of cosmic skin, beautiful cosmic chocolate skin, likened to looking out in the cosmos. Very brown, very beautiful, very, very deep in melanin. I call the carbon beings. They don't age. Another notable thing that makes these carbon beings very unique is their wonderfully, beautifully coiled hair that sticks up and goes straight up to feed off of the cosmic energies, likened to coils that you see in electrical items that you have at home, likened to be what you see when you open up any electronics, or even the coils in some of your old-fashioned beds have these wonderful coils that also are meant to energetically pick up the energies from other places, particularly the sun and the cosmos. But notably, these coiled, these beautiful cosmic brown beings don't look like any of the other quote-unquote races, including the other brown ones, copper ones that are already here. They don't look like them. Yes, thank you, Katie G. Antennas. They are also the #1 that are put on the hit list on TelLieVision, and every country, every part of this, every surface of this planet, they are the most demonized beings for plainly looking in opposition to all the other quote-unquote races, including those who are brown and copper. So, family, I'm stating this to say, this is not a statement that I'm saying to make us more divisive. This is a statement and a conclusion that I've come up with based on bringing in some sort of insight to why the melanin dominant, the carbon beings with the beautiful coiled hair, which people call nappy, happy to be nappy, beautiful coiled hair that reaches up to the sky, likened to the trees that feed off the sun as well, because trees have those high leaves go straight up, Flowers also, their heads go straight up to the sky to be able to feed off the solar energy and also to feed off the energies of the cosmos. These beings are demonized. And genetically, when others come in contact with these wonderfully different, unique, beautifully cosmic beings, they are in opposition of that energy. They feel disgusted by them. They feel adversity to them naturally. This is not prejudice. This is not racism. This is species difference with genetics. They don't feel in kinship with these beings because these beings are not from here. There is no likeness to these cosmic beings, and there is an adversity based on the fact that these cosmic, galactic, carbon beings with beautiful coiled hair that look nothing like the other beings on this entire planet genetically are being ostracized and demonized because they are not indigenous to this planet. And the reason why they have a heightened amount of carbon is because carbon is a protector. Melanin protects the cells, meaning that you cannot go in the cosmos without heightened amount of carbon around your cells, or melanin. Why? It's because melanin protects the cells, the membranes of the cells. It protects the membranes of the cells, so when you reach the radiation that is out in the cosmos, they are unaffected by it. That's why they're heightened in carbon, because they're not from here. So when you see these beautiful, dark, black matter, what they call Niger, what they say nigger, but it's Niger. These beings, nega. These beings have that heightened carbon because they're galactic beings. These are the cosmonauts. These are the Centaurians. These are the Anunnaki. These are the Nega serpents. These are beings that have traveled here, who've been seated here from other places, especially in Sirius, A, B, and C, and the Orion Belt, that have been seated their beings here that look nothing and are in opposition of everything that was from here, including some of the indigenous brown copper beings who have more straight hair. I just wanted to denote this. Any carbon being that I've seen, even as a melanin dominant woman with copper skin, they do not age. If you look at all your ET movies and check out the movies, the number one quality of ETs is that they age at a slower rate. That is a fact. They are not from here, so their aging is the way that they age is definitively linked to the fact that they are genetically superior in dealing with the radiation and the magnetic field, based on the fact that these beings are used to going in and out of different places and being exposed to radiation without any degeneration. It is a fact. That is why you will go and see any very dark, beautiful carbon woman, and you will look at her. And I say this because I'm in admiration of our beautiful, big up to our carbon, melanin dominant sisters. Beautiful. I see their dark, beautiful skin. I see it, and it is timeless. It ages. I've seen crackheads, listen to me family, who've done crack and drugs and alcohol, which totally dehydrate your skin. And even 20, 30 years later, I can still not tell their age. I can look at a 50-year-old, very dark carbon woman with beautiful, whether she wears a weave or not, whether she has something on her hair or not, I look at her skin and I can't tell her age. You know why? Because she's the original carbon galactic cosmonaut that was seated here, and she doesn't even know who she is. We have beings here who are being defiled daily, who are being hunted down by the others within justification because they are not part of the originals here. Now, many of my lunars will say, what about us? You have your own genetics. And remember, with the lunars, not all of you are the same. Eastern Europeans, Germans, Russians, Bulgarians, those from Eastern Europe are a different species, listen to me family, than those Europeans from places like Spain, France, Italy, closer, more southern-based Europeans. Look at the difference between the two. You will go to Russia. I know some fantastic Slavic family. Big up to the Slavic beings and the lunars from Eastern Europe. They look differently, bodily wise. Their bodies are more taut. They're bigger, they're taller, they're more stout. They look differently than their quote unquote brethren in the southern parts of Europe. Though you would consider them the same as the Europeans in the eastern part, they are not the same species. And those particular Eastern Europeans are also beings that are interdimensional, forgive me, that have traveled here through the dimensions via the tall whites. Big up to the tall whites. who are down with President Trump. I'm not drinking coffee with caffeine. You know, I'm doing the fertility thing. So big up to my family who are down doing the fertility ritual and activation. I'm being good. This is actually clean and clear. So all my Slavic family, my lunars from Bulgaria, Belgium, Iceland, where else? Norway, Sweden. Look at the qualities of those beings physically. They are bigger, taller, more stout, have more girth. They are genetic differences to what people would say. That's why I'm saying we can't judge people on complexions, because you will have people who don't have melanin who are very fair skinned who are not the same species. Just like you will see brown people who look like they would be the same and they're not the same species. Okay? Oh, thank you. I'm being very cosmic, family, because I'm back in Florida. I feel very cosmic. I'm trying to be down with my cosmic family. So, all I wanted to state is that the beings that are getting defiled on TelLieVision daily, who on the entire planet have the biggest amount of propaganda to defile them, to hunt them down, to murder them, to euthanize them, to genetically, off them. These beings are actually galactic beings connected to the Centaurians. The very tall ones are connected to the Centaurians, connected to the Anunnaki, connected to Sirius A, other beings that are connected to the Mer family as well. Those beings, you said I'm trying to have another baby? Kind of like you just throw me off topic. Listen, and that is why when some of you, listen, let's keep it real. You know what I want us to do? And this is how we could love each other. This is how we could respect each other. There's nothing wrong with us looking different. There's nothing wrong with us having different genetic qualities about us. Just like if you watch Star Wars or if you watch Star Wars or other galactic shows, you will see many different beings working on the ship with respect. You know, you see, Lieutenant Worf working with another being that's blue or a light being, and they have a common respect. They actually know each other's genetic base. They know how their culture is on their planets. They get along with each other based on respect, and they don't dishonor them or demonize them for any reason because they understand that everything is different and it's okay. We try to, become biobots and syntheticas. We want to merge. We want to be clone-like. Many beings here want to clone each other. You'll look at girls with makeup on. Listen, you'll look at women on. I see young ladies looking at makeup tutorials on. What are these? These blog things, and they all want to look alike. I even look at the celebrity women. You'll see. You'll see Little Kim's makeup like that of another rapper's makeup, and the girls look so similar because they want to look like each other. They want to clone each other. They want to be clones of one another. It's unhealthy. What's healthy is us acknowledging that we're not the same. We're very different, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's beautiful. I could see a beautiful tulip that is so gorgeous, and in the same breath, turn and look at a pansy that is white, and it is beautiful. And I can have such admiration for both without demonizing one to big up the other. This is the part of the dark cabal that they've been doing. They specifically have made us super adverse to one another built, in-house coups to make one inferior and one dominant, and it's unnatural and it's not true. And I want to give props to those beautiful chocolate babies that I see that are being ruined. Self-esteem is being damaged, that they're totally being crucified, and they are beautiful, wonderful carbon beings seated here by the galactics. And I want to honor them for having beautiful coiled hair that can pick up the frequency. And I want to tell them and their mothers, take off the weaves and the braids with the fake hair. There is no need. They are divinely created. They were created here to pick up those wonderful frequencies from the other solar systems. They were here to be a receptor to get the information from the galactic families. If you take that away from them, you are leaving them susceptible to the demonics and the demonization of these beings here on this planet who know that they don't know who they are. Happy to be nappy. I remember my sister-in-law, big up to my sister-in-law gave me hell. Let me explain something. My sister-in-law, she's not well, but in her wellness, in some of her wellness, I found it beautiful that she had a book called Happy to be Nappy. If any of you mothers who have coiled, beautiful, thick-haired babies like I do, my babies have beautiful coiled hair, and I wear it out all the time, and I kind of dread it, and I put in these beautiful crowns. I make my little girls have crowns with their hair and their braids with their own hair. I do it because I love their connection. And when my little girls see another woman, like we went to the airport, anytime they see a beautiful brown woman with coiled hair out, they tell her how beautiful she is. They tell her how they acknowledge and they love the way she looks. They look at her in awe. That's healthy. When I go to places, even in Europe, when I see some of the brown girls walking around with froze, and I go to Europe and I see other places, and there's some European women, some lunars, who look at their hair and tell them how unique and beautiful that is, how nice it is. Even sometimes they want to touch their hair because they're in fondness, they're in admiration of it. That's healthy. Hold on, I've got company. And let me just state this, family. Melanin in itself, like Dr. Delbert Blair, we don't want to talk about someone being superior and inferior. That's some judgment. That's some demonic type of separatism type of, promoting going on by other groups that just want to keep people separated and feeling lesser and what have you. That is not a conversation. Listen, I could have a quality like I used to. Well, I can't do this anymore. I used to be able to do backflips, flips, and splits because I'm a dancer. So I used to be very acrobatic, but I could never do. I have strong legs. I couldn't do pull-ups. Like, I'm not a person who had strong arms, but I had really strong bottom legs. Does that make me less? Absolutely not. I knew people who could do massive amount of pull-ups. Their arm strength was immense. Even my previous mate, my Taurus, big up to my Taurus. He could hold me up with one arm, and I'm not a light girl. He had such strength in his arms. Did it make him better than me? It did not. So that's what I'm saying. We have to stop placing things and inferiority and inferiority. Inferiority and superior in. Stop putting things in those categories because it's unhealthy, it's unbalanced. There's no such thing. Every being that has one great quality may not be strong in another quality, but doesn't make them lesser. It just makes them different. Do you see what I mean? And I wanted to really give some credence to why there is such a negation to the carbon beings that have been seeded here specifically by the Anunnaki bloodline. And also by the Centaurians that are very, 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 very dark. Beautiful cosmic beings. In the nighttime, you can't see them. That is a beautiful quality. Why would we demonize beings that have that unique quality? It's not a quality we would ever see because they're not from here. These chocolate beings do not age. It is beautiful. If you see beautiful coils up to the sky, why would that be terrible? Why would that be ugly to anyone? It is the most unique quality. No being on this planet has that but those beings. Every being on this planet has mostly straight hair, or maybe some coils to a certain degree, but it's mostly straight. Yes, anytime you see beings with coily, frizzy, what they call naps, locks, those are cosmic beings. They have the quality of beings that galactically can travel because they have qualities that protect. First of all, that coiled hair also protects their brain from having any radiation affect their brain. That's another quality that you know that they're not from here. They have protective genetic qualities that allow them to go to other places. Only beings that can travel outside of this solar system from this planet have to have a strong amount of melanin. They have to have it, and they have to have coiled hair. Because even they tell you, don't believe that NASA and all these people traveled out of space. They cannot. Even when they send rockets out to space, they cover the rockets with melanin. That's a fact. I'm not even making that up. Go look it up. They have to coat it with melanin because the radiation would permeate it. Only beings that can travel physically, Delbert Blair, big up to Delbert Blair, who first mentioned that. And as a researcher and as someone who in the scientific field, I had to make sure I sourced that out, and it's a fact. To be able to leave this planet physically in this body without protective gear, without protective crafts, you have to have melanin because it protects your cells. That's also why people with a strong amount of melanin cannot be incepted genetically or modified. They have to strip it. And all of us in the clinical field know this because you've worked with rats. And what kind of rats do you work in the laboratory? You don't work with rats with melanin. You strip the rats of their melanin and you work with white rats. White rats are the ones that we can work with genetically in the laboratories because they're more inceptible. The brown rats you cannot, so they strip the rats of their melanin to be able to do genetic work on them. That's a fact. So for that reason, the only beings that can travel out into the cosmos have to have melanin and have to have coiled hair. Without their brain melting and without being incepted or it being them not being able to genetically the melanin actually protects their cells from being permeated with radiation and also defiled from it. Now, all the galactic beings, not galactic beings, interdimensional beings, interdimensional beings like the tall whites, they have to travel interdimensionally through crafts and through vortexes and through stargates and through jump rooms. They can do that. They cannot leave genetically from this planet because of the radiation. The Van Belt will not allow that. That's a fact. And that's why it's really interesting that you don't see many contactees at some of these big UFO and ET conferences that are actually brown, but it would make sense that there would be more brown people leaving the planet physically than there would be lunars. Lunars will leave through their spiritual body, etheric bodies. They do that. They travel outside of here, the galactics. They will travel galactically through their etheric body, but they won't travel physically. They cannot. It's a fact, and I've worked in the laboratory, so I know it's true. Genetically, many brown people are getting contact by the ET families. They're being taken. Some of them are so Christianized, that they don't even know that they're being taken by ETs because they think it's Jesus Christ, or they think it's like the Holy Spirit, or they think it's some sort of spiritual experience, but really they're having contact with their galactic families, and they're traveling to their ships. And even when I was taken, I was not taken in a ship. I was not beamed up in light. I traveled with my physical body up to a ship physically. I remember the air. I could smell it. I could feel the up and down like I was traveling. It was physically. So I had to make this video because I'm seeing these beautiful, especially when I'm traveling, I'm seeing these beautiful little chocolate babies, the beautiful children, beautiful dark skin, carbon, melanin dominant babies, and they're being demonized and they are being damaged self-esteem wise. It is so horrific to witness as a woman, as a mother, and as a woman of color. When I know what they are, and I've sourced that out myself as a contactee, as a being that has been in contact with other beings that are not just melanin dominant, with beings that look very different than ourselves. And I find it very tragic and very purposeful that they are purposefully demonizing these little babies because they don't want them to know what their connection is to their galactic families. Because at this time, you will be contacted, and many are being contacted at night in the day by their galactic families. And mothers, I would caution you, as a woman of color with little children with beautiful coiled hair, I would caution you to damage their antennas or to put any weaves in their hair. I love the differences in hair texture. I think it's beautiful. I think if you have beautiful straight blonde hair, I think it's beautiful. I think if you have beautiful coiled hair and beautiful black coiled hair, I think it's beautiful. I love all babies. That's one thing I do. I will see a little blue-eyed blonde hair baby and I will hug her the same as I see a little cosmic beautiful nega serpent baby with carbon skin. I love babies. I love children. That I do. And I'm grateful for my mother for that. My mother and father. They did a great job with that and I appreciate that. But at the same time, I must caution mothers who have beautiful carbon babies who are putting braids in their hair with synthetic what is it? Synthetic, what is that called? What is this? I'm sorry, I don't know the name. Is it synthetic hair? Is that what they just call it? With synthetic hair. Or with another species of woman's hair in her hair. I would just caution you that at this particular time, you want your babies to have their connection to their lineage. It is going to be very important as we go to 2020. I want to make sure that I talk to the mothers who have these beautiful carbon babies that are not being loved and not being admired. And it's okay that they're not by everybody else, so long as mommy and daddy and their family realize and understand and give them the love and encouragement that they deserve. And also do the best for them and allowing them to be connected to, wait, hold on. How do you call yourself God? Let me, hold on. Okay, I just have to get some negative comments off here. I don't know what you said, God, but you're off here. Yeah, okay, I took some people off. Yeah, I deleted. Thank you, no one. I just saw their comment. I don't know where they came from. Yeah, he's gone. You name yourself God. You know, that's another thing. You see how these demons will name themselves God and then say the most demonic things? This is what I'm talking about. This is the type of environment that's out there. But all I wanted to say is I want mothers to really encourage and especially I'm talking to the mothers with the cosmic babies connected to the Nega serpent line, to the Anunnaki bloodline and the Centaurians. The Centaurians generally don't get this. Now, I should probably make a video on this, but I think the NBA would not appreciate this. I don't know how much trouble I'll get in. I have some intel on the Centaurians. I could make several videos on it, but I gotta be careful because there's a lot of Saturn worship with the Q, and you know, with Saturn, you know, I gotta be mindful because the tall black carbon, beautiful, those are connected to the Centaurians that are being worshipped. And people are saying, well, if they're worshiping tall blacks, or I don't like to use the word black because it means black, which is 13 lakh. I don't like saying it because it's negative. It's purposefully created. When you say black, I'm just going to let you know, because you know I know the English language inside and out because I spoke another language. Black is 13 lakh, just like blessed is be lessed. It's 13 less. Be mindful of your words, family. They purposefully, the English language is the most bastardized language, mixed with a lot of sigils and, you know, anagrams. So be mindful of how you state things. That's why you rarely hear me say the word black. It means be lack, 13 lakh. And it has more force with a B. Anything you put a B in front of is a 13. Take the line from the other line, it's a line and a 3. Oh. So be mindful of that. That's why when people say blessed, I prefer you keep that word away from me because it means be blessed, and I generally will rebuke it. Big up to the Christians. I'll rebuke that word from you because it's a negative word. I'm sorry, I sidebarred, but I just wanted to state that the tall, that's why, if you notice, there's not many tall carbon beings walking around that are not solicited by either the Masons or by the NBA. They're purposefully taken, and that bloodline will never be poor or deprived. You will rarely see 6'5", 6'6" and above brown people that are not solicited or taken and coerced or finessed by the others, because they're not one of us. That's what I'm saying. We're not all the same, and because someone has brown skin, they're not all the same species. Just like if you're a lunar, you are not all the same species. There's many different species, like there's draconian lunars that are not even connected to the tall whites. They're not even connected to the other genetically modified Europeans. There are genetically modified Europeans, lunars, that are just brown people with lighter skin. They are me, that have been stripped from melanin. That's why they're shaped like us. That's why you'll see lunars that have a bigger bum, wider, like bee sting lips, that have thicker lips. They'll have features likened to myself. I've seen lunars who look just like myself without color. They are different. They are the same as brown people from this planet, but they've been stripped of melanin purposefully. That's all. So and they are, listen to the tall white. He goes into this eloquently. I can't even state it as much. You know, I'm a researcher, and I also worked in the laboratory for a long period of time. So I could tell you that's what we do. But there are many lunars that are stripped of melanin, and they are part of the indigenous here, but they've been stripped of melanin. And how you know if they are is because they're shaped and likened to brown people, just they have no color. And part of that genetic scientific experiment was done, and you'll see you'll see a little bit of the remnants of that with albinos. Okay, so albinos will have the pink eyes, they have to wear the sunglasses. That's a little bit of that recessive gene showing up sometimes of the genetic modification that they were doing of some of the lunars. They're not lunars. They're brown people that are just fair-skinned brown copper people. They're just not that. But remember, not all lunars are alike. Like I'm saying, there's light-skinned lunars that are just brown people stripped of melanin, and then there are lunars that are actually tall whites that are from Eastern Europe. You know, they're from Eastern Europe. Beautiful Russia, Bulgaria, Germany. Oh gosh, all the top, Norway, Sweden. They look differently. Those are different beings connected to the tall whites. Then you have other beings that are draconian mix. There's so many different types of beings, but that's what I'm saying. There's no such thing as racism. There's speciesism. It's real. You will have adverse lunars that won't like other lunars because they're genetically not the same beings. And you will rarely see people from Sweden and Norway and so on mixing with generally other type of lunars, because they have a genetic aversion to them. Even in mating, it's very difficult for them to give offspring to breed together. Just like there's certain brown people that can't breed together. So I'm sorry. So please, when I talk about complexion, and like I said with the mamas of brown babies, beautiful carbon babies, I was in the north, and I've come across some beautiful carbon. Listen, I saw some beautiful when I was in Detroit quite a few years ago. Well, the RH factor is also the notion of different species. That's also, and I'm sorry. The Arcturians. Now, the Arcturians have genetically linked themselves to different types of speed. Now, Arcturian is more of an energy. They use energy, toning, and sound frequency. They have incepted certain bloodlines, but not all the same complexion. So you will see people who have an Arcturian, genetic Arcturian link, but they could be very, very fair. You will see people who have Arcturian link that could be very, very dark. The Arcturians are the only ones that I've seen to come in all colors. So it's a little different. You know who, what's his name? Arcturian Ra? I think Arcturian Ra goes into this. I think he talks about this. If anybody knows him, you should really ask more about that. I just know to a limited amount of what I see and what I've experienced in talking and dealing with different beings. But with the Arcturians specifically, I noticed that their seeding goes along the complexion, different complexions. So I've seen Arcturians that are very, very light blue-eyed and blonde hair. Then I've seen Arcturians that have very, very coily hair and then brown skin. So there's something to them influencing the genetics based on sound technology and also light frequency. They do something different. Remember, genetics, how people genetically modify beings or seed their genetics into particular beings here is very different. It's very different. So remember, the galactic beings, these beings who are genetically manipulating others and mixing different races, quote unquote, races and species together, they do it in a way that's so different, and my cognitive skills cannot even comprehend how they're able to do this on a scientific level. You know, there are people who actually, many of us who are contactees who have that type of information. It would be very difficult. But like I said, I've seen Octorians, those who have that field of Octorian connection, light and dark. And also the Lyrians. The Lyrians also go, because remember I told you I met a Lyrian from who had wings, and the one I met had patches on her face, and she had lightened her skin, but she was more of a lunar. But then I've known Lyrians that have darker patched skin. So it's interesting to see how certain galactic families or certain beings, there's a lot of different ETs, mixing and seeding and genetically modifying people here. But what I noticed that the number one group that is being disfranchised and abused the most are the galactic beings that are connected to specifically the Anunnaki. And they have that wonderful coiled hair that is a denotion that they're galactic beings. That's why there's nobody on this planet who has that quality. It's a unique quality that's based in one genetic group. And there's only the group that are being demonized by TelLieVision. They're being the propaganda against them is absolutely horrific, and is purposefully being done because they are adverse to other beings that are seated here as well. And genetically, they are not the same. That's why their hair is like that. That's why people will say very negative things. But that's a quality that allows them, they have a genetic passport to travel to other places without a craft. You could take a brown baby now, a very carbon-based child, and with the coiled hair, and you could take them out in Van Allen belt, and they would not be affected by, unless they're eating genetic. Then we talk about the chemtrails and all the other stuff, which would mess with, you know, the parasites and so on. That would mess with some of their melanin or their ability to protect their cells. But for the most part, their genetics allows for them to travel without crafts, meaning those are the beings that don't require a craft to travel throughout the galaxy, because their bodies are the craft. They are light beings. That's why quote unquote black carbon absorbs all spectrums of light. Do you know why? Because that's what allows them to go in and out of different galaxies. They're actually the original light beings. So our cobras, Anunnaki, very good spiritual fruits. The Nega serpent line is that it's, remember, there was a snake being meshed with one of the Anunnaki bloodlines, so it's a mix of the two. So that's where you get the glistening in the eyes. I can usually denote an Anunnaki, especially in places like Jamaica. There was a group, we talked about it on Big Up to Flurbrun Cypher. I think I shared the video where I saw the glaze. How I know people's genetics is the Anunnaki, especially the Nega line, they have grayish hair, and they have that copper glaze over their eye, whereas others have the Draconians have the red eye and their genetics. So when you see red eye, I always denote that that's more likely a Draconian connection. The copper glaze is connected to the Nega line. That copper glaze, I always note that as being Anunnaki bloodline. So when you see it in pictures, you see the copper, you'd be surprised how many Anunnaki are actually seated here by that, the copper glaze and the white hair. And I've seen the bloodline of the Anunnaki, especially the Nega serpent line. They've got the gray hair. Babies are born with gray hair. So it's interesting. So, so many red eyes around here. Well, Draconians have seeded a lot, and they seeded themselves specifically in only Europeans. Draconians will generally, the only time you're starting to see Draconians now mix is with the specific bloodline. They prefer to mix with the bloodline of the Saturnians. That's where you'll see a lot of the taller models that are brown, mixing with some of the European Draconian mix. They generally tend to do that, but they're mixing with the Anunnaki that's not mixed with the Nagas serpent line. They're not. They don't want to mix with the Nagas serpent line. They prefer to mix with the Anunnaki that's not on the Nagas side. And that's where you see the bloodlines. And Draconians would prefer to have a European mother, their own mother, give birth to with a brown Anunnaki. Just Anunnaki. The mother, because that womb denotes the species. Okay, so if a lunar is connected, she's Draconian, or she's told white, she will hold the species, because remember, the women give the extra mitochondria. So that's why you hear Jewish people say, if you're only Jewish if your mother's Jewish, they give a denotion to the mother having the extra mitochondria gene, and she gives the extra genealogy to the child. So that's why the Draconians generally will only have a European womb hold that of even if they mate with a brown Anunnaki. They generally will. The higher leveled royal bloodlines are not messing with low fields, reptilians, or anything like that. They just don't do that. They've purposefully picked specific brown bloodlines of royal bloodlines themselves to mix with, because we're going into we're actually in the new cycle. And remember, with the magnetic field, that's why they're spraying in the sky. We have 2 and 3 suns. That magnetic field, they cannot coexist here on the planet. Being fair skin is not going to be cohesive in the next 20 years. There will be no person on the surface of the planet that can have fair skin, because we're going into another cycle where the 3 suns will show up, and nobody without melanin can live on the surface. They can live in the inner earth if the inner beings will allow them, or they'll go into other dimensions to coexist on another planet. It's not going to be cohesive. That's why you see all the mixing right now. It is for the survival of those who are fair. So you will see a lot of people mixing. It's just a survival thing. And when we go into other cycles, then you'll see brown people mixing with more lunars for survival. It's what we do. So, and that's why you're seeing people doing that. Also, when a lunar female has perpetual sex with a brown, with a being with a lot of melanin, she also pulls in his melanin. That's why when a lunar, that's a fact. Genetically, she will pull in his genetics. Women, we are able to pull males' genetics. That's why a mother who has sex with numerous men will see some of the gene pool show up even in her children. Even if that's not the father, she'll pull in. She holds the genetics of every male that she's had sex with, who she's allowed him to seed inside of her. She will hold his genetics. Women do that. It's just what we do. So when a lunar is having sex with a darker male, she is also pulling in his genetics. It helps her to survive, and it also helps her offspring. So it's for her survival, she has to mate with a carbon being. That's why you're seeing a lot of it, and that's why when they gave the go-ahead, when they had that movie with Sidney Poitier, remember that movie with Sidney Poitier, Look Who's Coming Home for Dinner? That was the code that it was okay for now the mixing to happen. There was a certain time period where they were getting ready for this. They didn't allow people to mix prior to that. They didn't want it. Now the Draconians had allowed it because they needed that genetics to be able to morph and be able to coexist in the next cycle. So right now you'll see the perpetuation of those who are heightened in melanin mating with those who are not. And it is only mostly beneficial for a lunar female to pull in the genetics of a more carbon male, because she pulls his genetics. That's why you see lunar females who are having sexual intercourse over mating with a brown male for many years. She starts to genetically change herself. Her lips get a little thicker, her breasts start to grow. She starts like taking on the qualities of a melanated female herself. She's starting to pull in his genetics, and she brings it into herself. Females are we're very masterful like that. We're able to pull in the genetics of whomever we mate with. That's why I tell our females, be mindful who you mate with. You want to pull in the best genetics. You want to mate with males that have heightened amount of genetics, because your future children will hold some of that DNA in them from your previous mates. That's a fact. That's a genetic fact. They won't tell you with that, but in the scientific field, we know that we parasite a little. Women will pull in. We can be a little vampiric. It's a natural ability. It's what we should master. And I got to make private videos on that. I can't teach that to everyone. So, I have 2 mixed siblings who adore leper lifestyle. Positive, yes. Okay. Well, I just I wanted to share this. So, again, this video was really made for the mothers and fathers, aunties and grandmas of those who have beautiful carbon children. I want you to really uplift them, They're beautiful. They're actually in whole court advantage right now. They will do well right now if you encourage them and build their self-esteem. So I want anyone who's in contact with carbon even lunars, if you're in contact, if you're a teacher, if you're a facilitator, please build these beautiful carbon beings. They're going into home court advantage. They will do well on the surface of the planet, especially over the next couple of years. And they need to be, reconditioned because of all the harshness over the planet in the last couple hundred years. Okay, so they need to be encouraged. And also, mamas, if they have darker skin and beautiful coiled hair, that is a goddess quality. That is a god. They're connected to the god beings. They are what they call the gods that came here. They are likened to those. Tell them that. I know some of you are Christians and you're afraid to tell them that they're mixed with God genes. That's why they have the beautiful coiled hair. They are to get that information, and if you touch that and you alter that and you put hair that is not of the same species on them, you're going to stultify their gifts, their spark. Allow them to be sparked. Let the coiled hair, and now I'm not talking about not making their hair messy and not keeping them with good hygiene, because I remember someone in a group was talking about, well, if you let nappy hair be as it is, it'll be disgusting. No, you wash your hair, you take care of your hair, you put shea butter in your hair, you put oils. The gods took care of their hair. They used to put gold and copper in their hair in the coils. They actually used to add more metals to their hair to make them even more godly. So, braid it. Yeah, braid it. Also, all hair has to be tamed to a certain level. Not necessarily tamed, but just finessed and taken care of. So having beautiful, quote-unquote, nappy hair, it is a God quality. And to take care of it, there should be a sense of love and conditioning to that. You know what I mean? So at the same point, having beautiful coiled hair should have the same amount of care that you would have to taking a shower or washing your private parts or washing your face. It would be the same thing that you do to your hair. So, I would love for more mothers and all fathers and grandmothers and aunties and uncles to be really, really mindful and encouraging these beautiful divine beings that have little understanding of who they are. They will not age. And now for those who have especially I'm sorry. I have stuff all over my mouth. You gotta tell me when I have stuff on my mouth. Also for those who have the females, the divine feminine on this planet, the regenerative quality of the female right now is heightened, whether she's lunar or melanin dominant. The fact that she has melanin allows for her to have more ageless qualities. So now, as the energies are supporting and bringing in the divine feminine, women will age at a lower rate. Those who are already timeless and ageless already will start to reverse the aging process, meaning that they will start to see that they are ageless, meaning that a woman who's going into her 30s and 40s will no longer hold that quote unquote that physical, because the energies are supporting her and they will allow for longer homeostasis for the female on this planet in her divine state of being. So for that reason, for those who already were timeless and connected to the galactic beings, you already didn't age. So but now with the support of the planet, you will look like you are in, for women who are in their 40s, I know women who are in their 40s who look like they're 23, keeping it 1000. I see women who are in their 50s who look like they're 30. My grandmother, big up to my grandma, my grandmother just turned 101, and she's very, very fair. She had red hair. My grandmother is 101. She turned 101 on the 22nd, and she's very fair. She has freckles all she has moles on her face because, she lived in the islands. But my grandmother is even 101. I'm grateful for my genetics. I'm grateful I come from that bloodline. So for that reason, be mindful that we will start to regenerate quicker as long as you assist it and live in the divinity of the feminine coming in on the planet at a stronger rate. But the fact of the matter is, women on this planet will now live as the Amazonians did for longer periods of time and more regenerative qualities. So just like Wonder Woman, if you watch Wonder Woman, those women didn't age. They don't. So I'm just letting you know, be prepared for that. Males are not of the same genealogy. You do not have the same genetic equality as the female. So for that reason, the female is the original zygote. She will exist as long as she has made that, that higher conscious decision to coexist on the planet longer. But males generally pass away quicker than females. That's why you see mates who are together many years, usually the males will pass away first, because they're not fully, the original beings on this particular planet were actually androgynous, but they were female beings. When I say female, they were androgynous in that, oh, look at the bee. Look at the bee. Did you see the bee? I love bees. People are afraid of bees. Did you see the bee? They like to come close to me. They don't really mess with me. Anyway, I'm sorry. Did I talk too much? And then we get into the roosters, yeah. They went to Starbucks, probably Sierra. Listen, and also you get into the roosters. You have those of, we've talked about those of negative roosts. Those are definitely of galactic beings. We found out that there's a heightened amount of negative. Big up to the Haitian, the Haitian and Dominicanos, and some of the Jamaicans. The island brethren, which I had no clue, a lot of them are O negative roosts. I just found that out. Those are galactic beings. The negative roosts, those are connected to the galactics. That's a definitive, also a way to tell you that they're galactics. So if you have O negative as a European lunar, or as a brown, copper, or carbon being, you are definitely connected to some sort of galactic lineage. Now, for the lunars, you're definitely connected. That O negative, or that negative roost, also connects you to definitely the bloodline of the tall whites, and of the draconians, also of some of the Lyrians. Who else has that negative roost? Oh, there's a couple, but it's galactic, it's off-world. I love that. Max, big up to Max Spears, rest in peace. Max was phenomenal. Gave us great intel. He's passed away, they killed him. But Max Spears, if you not know who Max Spears is, I suggest you go look him up online. I really appreciate his intel that he gave us. I remember him giving me a shout out back in the days when nobody really knew who I was talking about, my connection to the galactic beings. They're not galactic beings, actually Earth beings. The Andromedans. But he gave me a shout out back in the days. So big up to Max Spears. I miss him. He gave us a great amount of intel, and I really respected his him even giving his life and giving us all that information. So big up to him. I just, there's a lot of people who tell the truth, and they're not really swayed by complexion. There's rare that whole propaganda, that whole negativity that they've kind of placed on us via TelLieVision and propaganda. It's really done a number on all of us. That's why it's very difficult for us to feel together in different complexions. It's rare, but at this time, it would only serve you well to go into unity consciousness, because that's where we're going. So you could hate if you want. It's only going to misserve you. That's all it's going to do. If you have a problem with lunars and you hate them, you got to be mindful, because you don't know what you are in your your incarnation. Many of the people that hate lunars as brown people are reincarnated lunars who did a lot of heinousness in their past lives. I'm being real. Nobody wants to hear that. It's interesting that people don't like to hear that. All the people who are brown people who have a lot of hate in their heart towards lunars, and really sensitive to the lunars being just, because obviously they were in home court advantage. The lunars doing heinous things on the planet right now as far as quote unquote racism, which is not racism, it's speciesism. They were incarnated lunars. So now they've come back in a brown form to be exposed to the same dastardly things they did in the past life as lunars. And then the same goes to lunars who've come in another form who hate brown people. They're reincarnated brown people who were treated heinously as brown people. So I'm just saying that you can hate all you want. You're just going to deal with the same sword. It's a double-sided sword. So if you're hateful, you're going to come back in the next incarnation as someone who's hated in another form. That's what I'm saying. It doesn't service you. It services you to treat people how they treat other people. You treat people to the degree that you want to be treated. That's it. You don't know what someone is. You don't know even what species they are. I'm telling you, there's so many species that have been seeded here on this planet. That's why many of us have so many different propensities. It's not natural. If we were, usually you go to planets, the whole planet has the same type of being. The whole planet used to look like me. I'm keeping it real. Every being from every surface of this planet, when it was in its indigenous state, they looked like me. You could go to the igloos of the Eskimos, they look like me. You can go to Tahiti and to the Polynesian Islands, they look like me. You could go to the southernmost part of Africa and parts like Yemen and Ethiopia, they look like me, lesser to a greater degree. So the fact of the matter is, most planets, the majority of people look all alike because it's all the same beings on the planet. When you start seeing different looking beings and so on, that's like someone coming here and putting different genetics. It's not common. You can't go to other planets. That's why when you see like when you see Star Trek and Star Wars, you see like Worf. There were only Klingons on the planet. The whole planet had Klingons, like a little lighter, a little darker, but they were all Klingons. There were no different types of looking Klingons. That means there's been genetic modification going on this planet to have so many different looking beings. It's not normal. It's just not normal. So that's how you know there's been some grafting going on, genetic grafting. That's how you know it's not appropriate. So I'm just saying, and people are like, it doesn't make you superior that you're saying that you were indigenous. No, it just makes me know who I am. I look like the indigenous beings. That's why I rock with the Mayans. The Mayans look like me. The Mayan beings that I rock with, the Andromedans that were originally from here, they look like me. And a lot of them have dreadlocks, which I'm going to get when I move to Brazil. I'm going to do dreads. But I'm just saying they look like me. So I'm not saying I'm superior or inferior. I'm just saying that I am the standard genetics of the planet. My hair texture, my complexion, the way I look, my lips, my hips, the way I'm shaped. I can go to anywhere on the planet. That's why when I travel, people think that I'm indigenous from there. When I go to Hawaii, they think I'm Hawaiian. When I've gone to other places in other parts of the country, they think I'm indigenous. When I go to parts of Mexico, they think I'm part Mexican. I look like the beings on every part of this planet. I am the original of this planet, and I'm proud of it. I'm proud of my indigenous culture. I'm proud of my indigenous roots. I'm grateful for that. That's why I'm so connected to Mother Tiamat. That's why I have the beat of the planet. When I dance to her heartbeat. I'm connected to her. I'm connected to the trees. I feel offended when people cut down trees. I feel love for this planet because I'm part of her. I've been grafted from Mother Earth. I'm okay with that. So I'm not mad at anybody else for not being from here, but I'm upset at those beings who come to our planet dirtying it up and being and killing our animals and hurting our life. You're not from here. You're not from my neighborhood, which is my entire planet. You shouldn't be here. That's all I'm saying. Many of the beings that are here are offensive to Mother Tiamat. They come and they deforestize, they cut down our planet, they rape our waters, they damage our sea life. They're not from here. There's like somebody coming from another hood, coming to my neighborhood, ruining it. We were all good as indigenous, and most of us were female looking. We were able to regenerate ourselves, and also like Wonder Woman. We lived here without issues. We were able to regenerate ourselves and also procreate, and by parthenogenesis we gave birth to children on our own. We were fine until the inception of the other beings that came here and ruined our planet. So they've got to go. Yes, Mexicans can be darker with afros. The Mexicans are brown. Okay, so anytime you go other places and you see someone who looks different from me, they're not from there. They're not from there. You can go to Brazil and you can see very fair-skinned Brazilians with light eyes. You find out that they're not from there. They're not indigenous from there. They moved some from other parts of Europe, like Portugal, or they've moved from Germany. They've moved from places and they live in Brazil, and they'll call themselves Brazilians. They're not Brazilians. They're Europeans that are in Brazil. The Brazilians look like me. The indigenous Brazilians look like me. The Aboriginal look like me. Okay, so when people say, "Oh, Fleur Bruin," what did someone say? Fleur Bruin, you're not a woman of color. I'm a woman of color. I have color. My hair is the way it is. It should be. But again, my children are mixed with galactic beings because they have beautiful coiled hair, and I love it. And I let them rock it, and I let them hear the frequencies, and they tell me things about they have dreams about connection to other planets. I told you I don't want to talk too much because it's my little ones. I have to protect them. But I'm just saying. There's nothing wrong with that. Anyway, family, I've gone in too long. I just want to make I just wanted to say that the carbon beings on this planet are not from here. They're galactic beings, and they're being demonized by others because there's a little bit of hateration. There's a little bit of jealousy too, because their carbon genetics and their coiled hair is a passport to the universe. It's facts. They are genetically perfect to travel galactically, and there's jealousy. Sometimes beings do that because they're jealous, and it's not just lunar, it's brown people are jealous of them too. Those dark, that's why they get, you ever say, why would they care about you if you were nothing? Like, why would you get demonized if you're nothing? Why would people tease you and say negative things about you if you were nothing? If you're so ugly to them, if you're so terrible, why do they care? Why do they make it a point to make shows and news anchors talk about brown people killing brown people all the time? They propaganda all over the world. Why do you go to Japan and they make blackface videos negating black people and not black people, carbon beings? Why do they do that? They wouldn't do it if they didn't care if you were nothing. Right? They're doing it because they're jealous. They have a hatred, an internal hatred. They know who you are on a subconscious level. They are upset because at the end of the day, you can travel to the cosmos. They cannot. They're mad at you. Let your hair be. Be coily. Love your naps. Nappy hair is a God quality. It is. It is a beautiful quality that is connecting you to your galactic family. Don't take that away. You should love yourself. I see some chocolate women and men, you already know. I see some chocolate, beautiful, cosmic carbon beings. And I look at them and I'm in awe. Myself, I'm in awe. I look at them and I look at their coily hair. I want to touch it. I do. I want to touch it. I tell them they're beautiful. When I see the babies, I tell them they're beautiful. And their parents look at me like all kinds of crazy because they think that the little ones think that my hair is special. No, my hair is okay. Yours is special, little brown baby. Yours is special because you have those beautiful coils. Mine is just a regular hair from the indigenous on the planet. I'm just an ordinary from Mother Tiamat. You are extraterrestrial. You are a goddess, little brown baby. And I tell them, and I don't care what their parents think, as long as I'm not negating them and treating them badly and abusing them, I love little brown babies, and I tell them that they are gods. If their parents don't do it, I make sure that I remind them of their goddess qualities. And I try to tell parents, whoever listen to me, that you tell those little brown, coily, nappy hair babies that is a god quality. That is a god from the cosmos. That hair will allow them to leave this planet. And there's books on it. Time travelers have talked about it. Martians have coiled nappy hair. There's a colony of Martians, all with froze, that are living on Mars. I don't want to get too deep because I'm not supposed to really talk about that. But the Martians have froze. And they travel here and you would never know who they are. Tell those brown nega babies they are special. Don't let them ever feel any which way. And that's why many places people are taking those babies. They're not taking them to kill them. They're trying to utilize that cosmic ability to try to take it for themselves. Tell those cosmic babies they are God and protect them. If their parents won't do it, you do it for them. And I would encourage more brown families to start adopting little dark brown carbon babies in the droves. I would tell you, if you can go to Haiti, especially Haiti, where the brown babies are being taken places and being utilized for all kinds of debaucherous reasons, I would tell brown people, if you are of a financial position where you're healthy, listen to what I say, you're healthy. You don't have to have an excessive amount of money or a depreciative amount of money. If you're healthy financially, I would encourage you to go to places where children like that need to be taken in and loved and adored and finessed for this cycle. They will be gods whether they know it or not, but it helps for you to allow them. Yeah, the helicopters are watching me, it doesn't matter. It helps for you to encourage it now, because many of the brown babies are sick because their parents have been sick. Drugs and alcohol has been infiltrated in carbon neighborhoods purposefully to degrade the parents so that the babies are degraded. Okay, so I just would encourage parents of a certain financial ability, and if you're not able to, I would ask that you donate to places which would help or create safe havens for those babies. Okay, so I'm just, I want love for those brown babies. Like I said, I was in the Northeast. I noticed that there were some brown families where the brown babies, you could see they didn't know who they were. You could see the babies, I don't know, like their self-esteem was damaged. You could see it, and it hurt my heart. It hurt my heart because I know who they are. I want them to know who they are. So that's it, family. I went on a rampage. It's a beautiful time on the planet. It's sunny. I'm so happy to be back in Florida. Big up to the sun. The planet's changing. Stop looking at people of color. Stop looking at complexion. Like I said, lunars can be of all different species and look the same. They're not the same. Brown people and carbon beings can look similar, but they're not the same species. There's a whole bunch of species have seeded themselves here. I was speaking to one, but there's many. And right now, with the mass amount of contact that's happening from the quarantine is over, all the galactic beings are actually contacting their own. And what will assist this is if you allow your baby's hair to be in their natural state of being, meaning that let the nap show. I think it's beautiful. Let that beautiful, I don't like the word nappy, because naps, do you know what's so interesting? They say nappy hair, but napping means sleeping. The hair is alive. It's actually the opposite. To say nappy is actually an opposition of what it is. That hair is not sleepy. That hair is not dormant. That hair is alive. That hair is magnetic. That hair is on fire. Why would we call it nappy? You know what I'm saying? It's you see how the English language is bastardized? Anything that is associated with these carbon beings is automatically negated and negative. It's just it's anti-gravity. Thank you, Kay. Anti-gravity hair. That hair is the bomb.com. Listen, I know it every time I see it. Every time I come with a sister with dreadlocks and some coils that are untouched and unfazed, I feel the energy. I love it. I want to sit around her. I want to feel off of her. I want to feel the energy. She's connected to the cosmos, and I love it. And I respect her. And I know what she is. Either she doesn't know it herself, I can acknowledge it. But if she's wearing her natural hair, I know that she has an understanding of who she is. When she wears her hair coiled and undisturbed, I know she gets her God quality. She has a love for self, because everybody should love their hair. Everybody should love how their hair is. If you have whether it's straight or curls, you should love your hair, and you should be okay, and everywhere on the planet should accept you for who you are. Like I said, we're not all the same on this planet, and this is kind of like a zoo, this planet, because it's all different beings purposefully set here and seated by other beings. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I'm saying. We're not all the same species, but likened to the Enterprise and Star Wars, Star Trek and Star Wars, we're here with a lot of different beings. We just have to respect each other. Because I can respect the tall whites. I can. I know what they are. I know what the tall whites have done on this planet. I know what they do. I know who they are. It's not respect. I can honor who they are. I know who the draconians are. I can honor what they are. See, they only phase you when you don't know yourself. Draconians have ruled this planet because they're very strong and powerful. I gotta say, many of the other reptilians are afraid of the Draconians, because the Draconians are some of the most lethal warriors, and they are lethal in the way that they do things, and they cultivate societies. But I can respect what they do. I don't have to rock with them. You know what I mean? I don't have to hang out with other beings. It's just like a snake. I told you this all the time. I know what snakes are. I see snakes in my garden all the time. I see it's beautiful black snakes too. Not black. Carbon snakes all the time. I see them. They're actually very protective. They're not poisonous. They go in the garden all the time. They help weed out my garden. They get rid of things that are not good for my garden. I can respect them, but I'm not going to stick my hand out to a snake and not expect it to bite me. That's insane. I respect it for what it is, but I keep it moving. Let's just do that. And that's why I say my beautiful carbon, indigenous, Moors, copper queens, and sun stars, just know that the other beings here are who they are. There's no reason to hate on them or be mad at them for having home court advantage, you're about to go into home court advantage too. So sometimes it's better to be happy for others who are sitting in a position of privilege, because when your turn comes about, you're going to want other people to sit and be respectful and admiration of your seat in a seated position of maybe privilege. Every being, every culture, every species, every complexion has their cycle. That cycle rises and then it falls, and then another one takes over. You will have your turn. But if you're hating on someone because of the way they look, you have, when I've sat in ciphers with other women of color who thought my hair was a little too straight and not coily, I understood that they felt like I couldn't have a conversation, but you can't really say that. I have love for my women of color. I do, intrinsically, genetically, I do. Why couldn't I sit in if my hair is not just coily as yours, doesn't make me lesser or better, it just makes me different. And it doesn't make me less qualified to have a conversation about natural hair, especially when I'm rocking natural hair. My hair is naturally this way, that's cool. But I can respect your beautiful, coily, natural hair too. Why can't we sit on the same forum with respect for each other's natural qualities? I love that. And at the end of the day, I'm raising little girls with beautiful, coily hair, and I would hope that other C-stars who are sitting in those same ciphers could understand that a mother who may have different hair from even her own babies should sit there and sit on a forum and have just as much to say or opinion or just respect that I'm one of somebody in love and infinity and wants better for my own as well, my offspring. That's all. So, they come for me. I'm probably the least person you should come for, because I have a lot of information and I love myself. So when they come for me, they get humbled real quick. I get apologies and I accept it, and I apologize for other people for some of my venomous. Sometimes when we get in these heated conversations, I can go toe to toe with most. They're rare. It's rare that I can't. So, big up to all species on the planet. Big up to the lunars. Big up to the sun stars, sea stars. Big up to the Cosmo Galactic Nega Serpent Line. Big up to the carbon beings on this planet. Big up to the melanin dominant beings. Big up to the Asian sect connected to Venus. Big up to all beings on this planet. I love it. I just want more of us to respect, our position, and respect the little babies that Oh, no, Queen Urana. Yeah, my hair is natural. Now, what's different with my hair? Which most people, if you grew up with me, you would know my hair. I'm a woman of a certain age, so my hair is thinner. Even though I have thick hair, my hair is a little thinner because I'm older now. I'm more seasoned now. So if anyone knows and you're a woman of a certain age, your hair changes texture. My hair was more coily when I was younger. And when I cut my hair, you'll see more of my coils show up. I'm seasoned. Yeah, I'm seasoned. That's it. So you'll see more of my hair, what looks more textured when my hair is shorter. The longer it is, the straighter it'll get. And if you'd have to know me to see that, because anybody who wants to, big up to my Mount Vernon brethren, you'll see pictures of me in Mount Vernon, and you'll see my hair more curly. When it was, I had a cut. I used to have all the, the different cuts and so on. So I used to have my hair cut so you could see my coils a little more. But obviously, the longer it gets, the more straight it seems, and I'm more seasoned. So as you get a little more seasoned and get a little more reverence, your hair changes texture a little bit. So my hair is not really straight. I'm in a warmer region. I wash my hair a lot. It is what it is. Okay, but I appreciate my hair. I have respect for my hair, but I respect everybody else's. That's all. That's all. Yeah, I just, I do things, and like I said, I tell you, I'm a woman of a certain age. I've been on this planet long enough to have this conversation with reverence. So, when people with my hair, our women of color will ask me if my hair is natural. It's my hair. That's all it is. And you can see my hair with my mom's hair. I have the same hair as my mom and dad, and I have the same hair as my grandmother had more. Even though she's very fair skinned, she had more coily hair. It was red, but it was coily, so she had more of that coily, frizzy kind of hair. Most redheads have like really frizzy hair, so I have hair like that. But when I was younger, my hair was much more curly, like more defined curls. But you'll see my little ones, They have those beautiful curly like hair, like coils up to the sky. I love it. I love it. So anyway, family, I think curls are springy, feel smooth, textured, prone to frizz. Yeah, yeah, Jamie, that's true. Yeah, but that's all I had to say. I'm just reading comments. Yeah, like you'll even see like when you get to certain parts like Ireland, um, Ireland are those, they're actually lighter skinned brown people. That's why their hair is frizzy. That's why their hair is a little more coily. Irish people. They're not really lunars, so to speak. They're brown people that are very, very light. If you talk in the genetic community who knows about genetics, they know this. So when you go to Ireland and you see the women very stout, their hips are really wide, their bum is really round, their hair is really coiled and frizzy, their lips are a little thicker, their noses are a little wider, their face is a little rounder. Those are not real lunars. They are lighter skinned brown people. That's all they are. That's why Irish people are very pilot. You hang out with some Irish people. Big up to my Irish posse. I love these dancers. I used to dance with them. They're wonderful. They're from Ireland. They get down like brown people. They do. They have the same type of temperament and behavior because they are the same genetic group. Go with the Italians, the Sicilians. The Sicilians, again, those women have rounder bums. They have smaller hips. They have bigger breasts. You know, they look similar in face. Those are also lighter skinned brown people. Those are not lunars, so to speak. They are European by the fact that they're there and they have lighter skin, but they're not. They're genetically modified brown people that are very, very fair. That's it. That's why they're so listen, I've been to places when you see Irish people get down, and I'm not making it negative. There's beautiful Irish people of all types. I won't generalize, but I'm just saying, if you want to go with type of behaviors, type of sociological behaviors that are connected to people of color, a lot of Irish people have that disposition, is what you would consider to be connected to brown people. Same with the Italians. They get down like brown people. See, that's what I'm saying. We have to get over complexions because that is not always the case. Italians have that same disposition. They have that same kind of social psychological genetic disposition as quote unquote brown people. Very sensitive, very piloted sometimes. You know, they are very much the same people. Take people from Spain, from Madrid. I'm just saying, you know, sometimes we can just kind of source things out, but just seeing people's general behavior. The Vikings and the Warriors, now that is more connected. The Vikings are more connected to the tall whites. The tall whites are saucy. They're just different beings. Who else? Who else is like that? Certain, you'll see based on disposition. You gotta watch people's behavior. You know, I used to watch people all the time. I used to watch how people talked and how they speak and what have you. And then when you travel to many different countries, or you're exposed to different colors and complexions of people, you start to see things that are more similar than things are different. You start to see similarities with certain beings that look totally different. And then you start saying to yourself, what is that? Like, you just start to notice that. Anyway, I could go on all day. Listen, not everything I say is fact, but the one thing with me is I source things out, and I've been exposed to a lot. So that's why I'm able to get these phenomenal expressions of truth based on the fact that I'm exposed to a lot, and I've worked in research, and I like to archive a lot of things. So it's interesting to see this, you know, to see how these things are. Now the Mexicans are brown skin. Now that's more connected to, again, it's the Aztecian, Incan bloodline, which is connected to a lot of the Pelagians. The Pelagians are also those beings that are connected to the Cherokee, the Blackfoot, the Iroquois, the Aborigine. That's those brown beings that are connected, those indigenous tribes, and in Mexico, those are connected to the Pelagians. A lot of Pelagians are mixed with those indigenous groups. Okay, like the Taino, to my knowledge, are more connected to the Anunnaki. the Arawak, the Carib, and the Taino. Could be the Taino. Remember the Taino, when people say in Puerto Rico they're mixed with the Taino, you got to be careful, because most of Puerto Rico is mostly Europeans, but they're the Europeans that are the lighter skinned brown people. So the Spaniards have more genetic influence than the Taino in Puerto Rico. That's why you have a similar look when you go to Spain. When I go to Madrid, I see same phenotypes of the Europeans along with those Puerto Ricans. Now, you'll see Puerto Ricans with the rounder bums, the thicker lips, the curlier hairs, because yes, they're mixed with some of that Taino. And the Taino are just brown people that, just like myself, the Carib, the Arawak, those are all the indigenous brown people. So they're mixed with some of it, so you get some of that quality with the bigger bums and the thicker facial features and the curlier hair. Yes, that's mixed with some of that Taino, which is just brown people. But the majority of Puerto Ricans have much more phenotypes of the European Spaniards. And you can see that when you go to Spain. For those who travel to Madrid and to Barcelona, you will see the same eye setting, the same disposition of face, phenotypes of the face, the physical, same, and also the same genetic, the genetic what is it called? Things that are troubling in the genetics, recessive qualities. You'll get that. You can see some of the same genetic dispositions with those in Spain and Barcelona as well as those in Puerto Rico. Okay, so when I go to Dominican Republic, DR has way more of the Caribbean and Arawak, way more. And they remember La Hispaniola, which is Haiti and Dominican Republic together, the same people, whether they're fairer skin or not, they're the same gene pool. That's why they have that O negative. That's big up to the Haitian and Dominicanos. The Dominicanos and the Haitian, they're the same people, the brethren. That's why I noticed, now this has just been recent to me finding this out over the last, 6 months, that O negative roosts flying in both the gene pools of the Dominicanos and the Haitian. Who would have? I didn't even know that. So I just found that out. There's a huge population. Most of them have O negative. Big up to my O negative Haitian. Ça passe. and my Dominicana. Same people, cousins, whether they're fair skin or not. The fairer they are, they're mixed with a little more of the actual indigenous Spaniard, or the French, because you don't see as much as the same phenotypes in Dominican Republic as you see in Puerto Rico, because the Puerto Ricans are mixed with much more of the European Spaniards than you would see in Dominican Republic. Dominican Republic is also mixed with French, so you'll see a lot of the same phenotypes of the French in France. Some of those facial features, some of the genetic dispositions, even though Spain took it over later on. So, we start getting into genetics and stuff like that. That's what I did. So, I always talk about genetics and blood type because that's just how I rolled in college. So I just have a bit of that. Anyway, so family, I talked to you enough. I hope you have a masterful day. More on O negatives. I know O negatives, y'all need to find out. O negatives, you have to, this is what I've been doing, which I love. And this is why I say I'm healthy and I have healthy self-esteem, because you could be different, and I know this, and I'm okay with it, and I source you together. I've taken a group of, big up to my C-stars that I just lump a couple of my C-stars that have O negative, and I just connect them together, because I noticed that O negatives love to hang with each other, and they have much more of a same disposition. So some of my Haitian C-stars, anytime I find a Haitian C-star, oh my phone's about to die, hold on. Anytime I see my Haitian C-stars, I've been connecting them together so that they source together, because there's more power in you guys getting together genetically. When you start linking with your O negatives, you'll see more power and more knowledge come to you. So because I'm not an O negative, I'm an OG, but I'm O positive. Hold on. Okay, there. Yeah, I'm an O positive. Let me start my car. Okay. Sorry. And because of that, I tend to, even with the O negatives, you'll notice that, even with the O negatives, you'll find that, like, even when I used to dance, I think I've told you guys this before, when I used to go dancing, I do Latin dance, that's just what I do. I will find that when I was dancing, there was a bunch of wonderful, like I love Latin dance is my thing. I'm connected to the Mayan culture, and it's part of that drum beats. I'm part of the indigenous, so soca, salsa, bachata, merengue, cumbia, salsa. What else? Every Latin dance, every Caribbean dance, every hip hop dance, I have the same love and connection to. Anyway, so I would go dancing, and it was a group of girls that were always hanging around one another, group of women, right? Group of women, and I noticed, I'm the first one to bring up blood types, right? So they always hung out together. They would save spots for each other. They would always hang out together. They had the same disposition. Same, and these were lunars. I think were there Latinos in here? No, these were lunars. And I noticed same way they talk, same monotone of talk, very, very unique. They would always hang out with one another. There's like 5 or 6 of them. So one day I got up, they always ask me questions, and they were talking about blood types. Come to find out, each one of those ladies had the same O negative. The women that I felt the most connection to were all O positives. Just having the conversation, you realize, wow, we genetically are more connected to those who shared same blood types. Go figure. So because of that, I realized that it's very important for the O negatives to source together, and that's what I'm saying. Collectively, we can source together with those who are similar to ourselves, but still have a common respect and unite under the stance that we're different, but we can all have respect for each other and still like each other. So, for that reason, I made that linkage together. So anytime I see an O negative that's connected to the Haitian bloodline, I connect them together, because I love the fact that I found that unique, and I feel like them coming together, especially at a time when the galactic beings are connecting with their own beings, I think it's important for them to source together. So anytime any of you are Haitian and you're O negative or O negative roots, I will connect you with others like yourself. I just found it unique that Haiti, that has a very rich history, and Haitians are very connected. What I thought to be with the Nega serpent, that's not the Nega serpent line. That's not the Anunnaki. That's a whole nother galactic, those are galactic beings connected to particularly the Anunnaki on the other side, the galactic beings. And actually, I think that they're connected more so to the Martians. I can't say that for sure, but I think there's more of a connection to that. And the Martians are other beings. And that's a whole nother conversation. There's so many different beings and connections to Sirius, the Orion belt. It's amazing. So, but Haiti has a particular bloodline, and they're the most demonized. You see what I mean? And there's a reason for it. And I found out that there's a connection to a lot of the O negatives, the negative roots in Haiti. I had no clue. And Dominicans too. Okay, so whenever I find the negatives, I just source them together. They'll find more information because they'll trigger each other. They're more negative roots, has more of the hive type of mentality. They hive together in thought and patterns. So when you connect the negatives, you guys will hive. You'll have, the more you connect with your own, the more you'll be able to collectively give more information about yourselves, which I find is fascinating. Okay, so anyway, I'm out, family. I want to enjoy my day. I'm out in the sunshine. For all y'all living in the cold, I feel for you. I felt traumatized and abused in the cold. I dealt with it. It was beautiful for a while, but I'm grateful that I'm back in the sunshine. I require sun as a being. Oh, the feline ETs, those are the Lyrians. I told you the Lyrians have connection to also certain blood groups, especially the Balkans, the Bulgarians, Eastern Europeans. They're connected, but they're connected to certain bloodlines in the Caribbean, like the Jamaican brethren. Big up to Jamaica. That's why the Jamaicans, the Rastas, have that big lion. The lion is, the Leo energy as one of their main signatures. So they're connected to the Lyrians as well. There's so many beings, and that's what I'm saying. I can't source out everything. I can do things that I can specifically source out, and I can isolate. Those are more isolatory type of beings. So, like the Draconians are isolated beings. They only tend to breed with amongst themselves or in the same bloodlines. Same with the Anunnaki Nega. The Negas, you can see certain qualities. I can source it out. The Pelagians are also are the beings that you kind of, they're more isolatory in the type of beings that they genetically are mixed with. But some of the other ones, like the Arcturians, are mixed with both lunars and carbon beings. Also with the Illyrian cat beings are also mixed with a combination of the different complexions. So it's really bloodline at that point. Now I would have to sit down and find out if there's a correlation to those of you who are connected to those lion beings, and then I would see what blood type you are. And then I would have to see if there's a commonality between your blood type and me seeing other connections with other Illyrian type of contactees. That's how I find things out, really by chance. But I see similarities, and when I see them, I note them, and I put them in the archives. And then when I start to see a similar pattern, then I note that that is a criteria of those particular type of beings. Like with the Anunnaki. With that Anunnaki Nega side, that snake side, I notice they have the copper glaze on their eyes. They all have that copper glaze. And then I notice they have that gray hair that they're born with, some to the point where all their hair is white, or they'll have the little signature when they're born. That's that Anunnaki Nega serpent line, connected to Empress Sheba the Third, her bloodline. And if you don't know anything about Empress Sheba, that's who I rock with. That's who I'm associated with. That's who I have. That's who I have some connection to. So yeah. So you would just really have to look at things, and that's also why. You guys will have me talking all day. See, this is like having a whole conversation. This is also why you'll see in Europe in the 16th and 15th, 16th, and 17th century that the European women used to, and also the males, used to wear dresses, the bonnets, the dresses where their butt, it looked like their butt was bumped out. And also they put powder on their hair. And if you notice, their hair curls were going up to the ceiling, but their hair was powdered white, and their hair was curled, or braided, and it was always, their hair was very high up to the ceiling, or they curled it. They were mimicking the Anunnaki Nega that they were connected to. That's a fact. They powdered their hair white, and they wore dresses where their butt looked bumped out underneath the dresses like a big buttocks brown person. They did that purposefully. Nobody knew that. They were mimicking the galactic royal bloodlines that they were in contact with. Empress Sheba was born with white hair and brown skin. Her hips are very wide, like mine. They hid her in Trinidad, in the Caribbean, until she came of age, and they put her on her seat in her throne. She's the only one who is allotted to wear that crown of Isis. Oh, the secrets and things have been placed right in front of you, and it's so amazing that they hide it in full sight, full realm. Oh, goodness gracious. Anyway, family, my stomach is coming out. Anyway, I'm gone. I talk too much. This is when, my videos go left. I'll have a full-blown conversation with you all. But anyway, I just thought I'd share. And what am I? I've already stated what I am. Anyway, let me get out of here because I'm in the neck of the woods of my lab guy. He found me before. You have a my lab guy that follows me around in the same uniform, and he takes notes on me. So I want to make sure I'm out of his line of sight. He probably took notes on me today. He likes to show up at the Starbucks, and every Starbucks I go to, and he takes notes on me. Takes pictures of me and takes notes on me. And I recognize him. He's one of my lab scientists. Probably had me in the already had me in the laboratory before. It is what it is. Fear. I'm a triple Sag. Fear is out of our lineage. You come for me, I'm gonna come for you. And I'm grateful. I'm protected under a lot of different liaisons with many of the different groups. They protect me because I serve as a liaison between many of the different galactic groups and interterrestrials. Yeah, that's why I'm so neutral. That's why I'm so united under unity consciousness. That for that reason, there's a benefit to have me still exist. I'm negation to zero. I'm all about keeping it 1,000, but at the same point, I want us to have a reality check that It's okay for us to be different. There's no such thing as superiority and inferiority. It's just based on your consciousness and your level of discernment. That's all that is, you know. And just another gem before I go. I don't know if I should say this. When I speak about the the Hebrews might come after me for this one, but when they talk about the 13 Hebrew tribes, they're not talking about tribes, so to speak. They're talking about the 13 astrological. Oh no, I'm sorry. When they talk about the 12 tribes, the Hebrew tribes, they're not talking about the 12 tribes, so to speak, of like people. They're talking about the 12 astrological signs. They're not talking about 12 tribes. They're talking about the 12 astrological signs. They're not people, so to speak. They're energies. The Pisces, the ones who are Libra, the Cancers, the Capricorns. Those are the 12 energetic signs that are to be activated, that are part of the 12 tribes. Anyway, I gotta go. Revelations. Anyway, so join me Thursday. You already know I'm gonna do my show. I haven't done my show for 2 weeks. I should have a good show. Hopefully I'll get him. I want to do an interview with someone new. change the dynamics of my show. Anyway, I love you, family. I appreciate you showing up and doing everything. I'm noticing everyone's so raising and loving and really feeling together. I've noticed more respect amongst different people too. And you know, oh look, these are brown. See, these are the little brown ones. Look at it. Anytime you see a brown tall, they're connected to the Centaurians. I'm serious. The Anunnaki are tall too, but they're the ones that are being picked up by the NBA. Those are Centaurians. That's why they do so well. That's why they will always be in home court advantage, because the Centaurians are worshipped. They take care of the energy. They're actually fielding and sourcing off of the energies. They create, you know, the ring makers of Saturn actually are taking that energy to feed their world, to build energy to their world. That's all they are. But that's why you see all the tall, very, very tall carbon beings, males especially. They're being taken and finessed and taken care of, you know, for good reason. Anyway, I'm gone. All right. Why was I chosen? I wasn't chosen. You said, why was I chosen? I'm not chosen for anything. I'm just sharing this with you. I'm no one special. I am a regular person like you. I just been around the world and remember that song, been around the world and I just exposed a lot. I'm meeting with a lot of you. You're sharing a lot of things with me, and I appreciate it. So, you know, like I said, I'm not special. I'm not above you. I'm not below you. You know, I'm an avid student who's here learning and evolving just like you are. Okay? So don't ever put me on a pedestal, because I'll fail you every time. I'm about to go make some naughty mistakes in a minute. Anyway, family, let me get off of here. I love you. Have a masterful day. If you want to interview me, sure, together. Just drop me an email. delgaddess@gmail.com. You can contact me anytime. You know, I've done lots of interviews, and I'm okay to do more. Nothing really to hide. This is the age of Aquarius. Everything is out and exposed. Anyway, love you, family. I wish you well. Have a wonderful, masterful day. Enjoy the energies. The new year is coming. The new year is not actually New Year's Day, just to let you know. That's another lie to confuse you with time. But we celebrate it anyway. I would say any time to celebrate, I enjoy. I could care less what they name it as, because I'll rename it and make it my own spin just to celebrate. I have fun in that way. So big up to y'all. Yeah, the Gregorian calendar is another way to the dark Kabbalah is made to fool you into thinking you're in a specific energetic field, and you're not. They're so manipulative, and it's work. Shameful. Anyway, family, I'm out. I wish you well. Have a masterful day, and peace. Love.